Mental strength always begins with self-awareness because you cannot change what you are not willing to see. Most people want to improve their life, their career, their relationships, their future, but very few people want to look inward honestly. We spend so much time observing others, judging others, comparing ourselves to others, yet we rarely pause and ask a simple but powerful question: who am I becoming? Self-awareness is the courage to sit with yourself without distraction and notice what is really going on inside your mind and heart. Many of us think we know ourselves, but what we really know is the version of ourselves that we show to the world. We know how to perform, how to impress, how to fit in. But mental strength is built when you understand the version of yourself that comes out when no one is watching, when you are tired, when you are disappointed, when you feel insecure, when things don't go your way. That is the real you, and that is where growth begins. A lack of self-awareness makes us prisoners of our own patterns. We repeat the same mistakes, enter the same unhealthy relationships, react in the same destructive ways, and then wonder why life keeps giving us the same lessons. The truth is, life doesn't change until we change. And we don't change by blaming circumstances, people, or luck. We change by becoming aware of our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Awareness gives us choice. Without awareness, we live on autopilot. Think about how often emotions control our actions. One harsh comment ruins our mood for the entire day. One failure convinces us that we are not good enough. One comparison steals our peace. Self-awareness allows us to pause and say, why am I feeling this way? What triggered this emotion? Is this reaction helping me or harming me? The moment you can observe your emotions instead of being consumed by them, you start becoming mentally strong. Self-awareness also teaches us humility. It shows us that we are not perfect and we don't need to be. Mentally strong people are not those who pretend to have no weaknesses. They are the ones who acknowledge their weaknesses without self-hatred. They don't say, "This is who I am, I can't change." Instead, they say, "This is who I am right now, and I can grow." That mindset alone can transform your entire life. Another powerful aspect of self-awareness is understanding your inner dialogue. The way you speak to yourself shapes your reality more than any external voice. Many people are extremely kind to others, but brutally harsh toward themselves. They replay their mistakes, criticize their flaws, and doubt their abilities. When you become self-aware, you begin to notice this inner voice. And once you notice it, you can slowly change it. You learn to replace self-criticism with self-compassion, and that is not weakness, that is strength. Self-awareness also helps us understand our values. In a noisy world full of opinions, expectations, and pressure, it is easy to live someone else's life. We chase goals that don't fulfill us. We say yes when we want to say no. We stay silent when we should speak up. When you are aware of what truly matters to you, your decisions become clearer and your mind becomes calmer. You stop trying to please everyone and you start respecting yourself. Mentally strong people don't avoid discomfort, they understand it. They know what triggers them, what drains them, and what energizes them. They don't suppress emotions, nor do they dramatize them. They observe them. Awareness doesn't mean you won't feel anger, fear, or sadness. It means you won't let those emotions control your life. You feel them, learn from them, and move forward with wisdom. Self-awareness also deepens our relationships. When you understand yourself, you stop expecting others to fill your emotional gaps. You communicate better, listen better, and react less. You realize that many conflicts are not about the situation, but about unresolved emotions within us. A strong mind takes responsibility for its inner world instead of demanding the world to change. Finally, self-awareness connects us to purpose. When you understand who you are, you understand where you are going. Life stops feeling random and overwhelming. You begin to act intentionally rather than impulsively. Mental strength is not built overnight. It is built through daily moments of reflection, honesty, and courage. And it all begins with one simple yet life-changing practice: becoming aware of yourself. Not to judge, not to criticize, but to grow. Mentally strong people don't react, they respond. And the difference between these two can completely change the quality of your life. Reaction is impulsive. It is emotional. It happens without thought. Response is conscious. It is thoughtful. It comes from awareness and control. Most of the regret we carry in life comes not from what happened to us, but from how we reacted in moments when our emotions were louder than our wisdom. In today's world, we are constantly being provoked. Someone disagrees with us, someone criticizes us, someone ignores us, someone disrespects us, and instantly something inside us wants to fight back. The ego wants to defend, to prove, to win. Reaction feels powerful in the moment, but it often leaves us drained, embarrassed, or guilty later. A strong mind understands that not every situation deserves an immediate response, and not every battle is worth fighting. When you react, you give control to the external world. A single comment can ruin your mood. A small inconvenience can spoil your entire day. A person's behavior can dictate your emotions. That is not strength. That is surrender. Mentally strong people pause. They create a small gap between the stimulus and their response. In that gap lies freedom. In that pause, they choose calm over chaos. Responding does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending that nothing affects you. It means acknowledging what you feel without letting it dictate what you do. You may feel angry, but you don't act in anger. You may feel hurt, but you don't speak from pain. You may feel disrespected, but you don't lose your dignity. That ability to hold yourself steady when emotions rise is true inner power. Silence plays a powerful role here. Silence is often misunderstood as weakness, but in reality, it is one of the strongest responses. When you don't react immediately, you deny negativity the fuel it needs to grow. Many conflicts survive only because both sides keep feeding them with words, emotions, and ego. A calm response, or sometimes no response at all, can dissolve tension faster than any argument ever could. Mentally strong people also understand that people's actions are a reflection of their inner state, not your worth. When someone speaks harshly, it often comes from their own pain, frustration, or insecurity. Reacting takes things personally. Responding sees the bigger picture. Instead of asking, "How dare they say this to me?" a strong mind asks, "What is really going on here? And what is the wisest way to handle it?" Another important aspect of responding rather than reacting is timing. Not everything needs to be addressed immediately. Emotions cloud judgment. Time brings clarity. When you allow yourself space before responding, Your words become calmer, your tone becomes softer, and your message becomes more effective. You don't just speak to be heard, you speak to be understood. Responding also protects your mental peace. Every unnecessary reaction costs you energy. It keeps your mind busy replaying conversations, arguments, and imagined scenarios. A strong mind chooses peace over proving a point. It understands that being right is less important than being at peace. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. This practice also builds self-respect. When you respond thoughtfully, you honor your values. You don't lower your standards because someone else lost theirs. You don't become rude because someone else was rude. You don't become negative because someone else is negative. You stay aligned with who you want to be, not who the situation is trying to turn you into. Over time, responding instead of reacting changes your relationships, your reputation, and your inner world. People begin to respect your calm. They feel safer communicating with you. And most importantly, you trust yourself more. You know that no matter what happens outside, you can handle what happens inside. Mental strength is not about controlling others or situations. It is about controlling yourself. When you master the art of response, you reclaim your power. You stop being a puppet of circumstances and become the author of your actions. And that calm, steady presence, especially in moments of pressure, is one of the clearest signs of a truly strong mind. Pain is unavoidable in life, but suffering is optional, and understanding this truth can free you from years of unnecessary emotional burden. Every human being experiences pain. Loss, rejection, failure, disappointment, betrayal, illness. These are not signs that something has gone wrong in life. They are part of life itself. Pain is natural. It arrives without invitation and often without explanation. But suffering begins when we resist pain, replay it, exaggerate it, and attach our identity to it. Most of our suffering does not come from what happened, but from the story we keep telling ourselves about what happened. Two people can go through the same painful experience, yet one grows stronger while the other grows bitter. The difference is not the event, but the interpretation. When we constantly ask, "Why me?" "This shouldn't have happened," or "My life is ruined," pain turns into prolonged suffering. The mind becomes a prison where the same painful moment is repeated again and again. Pain lives in the present moment, but suffering lives in the past and future. Pain says, "This hurts right now." Suffering says, "This will always hurt," or "I will never recover from this." When we mentally travel back to the past or imagine a hopeless future, we stretch a moment of pain into months or years of emotional suffering. A mentally strong person learns to stay present. They feel the pain fully, but they don't let the mind wander into fear or regret. Accepting pain does not mean liking it or giving up. Acceptance means acknowledging reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. Resistance adds another layer of suffering. When we fight reality, we exhaust ourselves. When we accept it, we create space for healing. Acceptance is not weakness, it is wisdom. It allows us to ask a more powerful question. Know that this has happened, how will I respond? Another major source of suffering is attachment. We suffer when we cling to people, outcomes, and expectations as if they are permanent. Life, by nature, is impermanent. People change, Situations change and roles change. When we expect permanence in a temporary world, disappointment is inevitable. Mental strength comes from understanding that while we can love deeply and work sincerely, we cannot control outcomes. Letting go of excessive attachment reduces suffering without reducing love. Comparison also magnifies suffering. When pain enters our life, we often compare ourselves to others who seem happier or more successful. Why is everyone else moving forward while I am stuck? This comparison adds shame and self-pity to pain. A strong mind understands that everyone is fighting a battle we cannot see. Comparison distorts reality and steals compassion from ourselves. Pain handled with self-compassion heals faster. Suffering increases when we identify ourselves with pain. We start saying, I am broken, I am a failure, I am unlucky. Pain becomes part of our identity instead of an experience we are passing through. Mentally strong people separate who they are from what they feel. They say, I am experiencing pain, but I am not my pain. This small shift in language creates a huge shift in mindset. There is also wisdom hidden inside pain. While pain itself is not a blessing, it can become a teacher. It reveals our attachments, tests our patience, and strengthens our character. When we stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Suffering begins to lose its grip. Growth does not erase pain, but it gives it meaning. It is important to remember that healing does not mean forgetting or pretending nothing happened. Healing means learning how to carry pain without letting it crush you. Some wounds leave scars, and that is okay. Scars are not signs of weakness, they are evidence of survival. A mentally strong person does not rush healing or judge their own pace. They allow time, reflection, and self-care to do their work. Ultimately, pain reminds us of our humanity. It softens us, deepens us, and connects us to others. Suffering, however, isolates us and hardens us. The choice is not about avoiding pain, because that is impossible. The choice is about how we relate to pain. When we stop resisting, stop overthinking, and stop identifying with it, pain passes through us like a storm instead of becoming a permanent climate. And in that understanding lies true mental strength. One of the greatest sources of mental exhaustion is trying to control what was never meant to be in our control. We worry about other people's opinions, their behavior, their choices, the outcomes of our efforts, and even the future itself. We exhaust our minds rehearsing conversations that haven't happened yet and replaying situations that are already over. Mental strength begins when we recognize a simple truth. Not everything is in our hands, and that is okay. Control gives us an illusion of safety. We believe that if we plan enough, think enough, and worry enough, we can prevent pain and guarantee success. But life does not operate on our terms. No matter how intelligent, disciplined, or prepared you are, uncertainty remains. When we resist this uncertainty, anxiety grows. When we accept it, peace enters. Letting go is not about giving up on effort. It is about releasing the obsession with outcomes. There is a powerful distinction between what we can influence and what we can control. We can control our intentions, our effort, our attitude, and our response. We cannot control how others feel, how they act, or how life unfolds in every detail. Mentally strong people invest their energy where it matters. They do their best and then step back trusting that results are shaped by factors beyond their awareness. Trying to control everything often comes from fear: fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being hurt, fear of the unknown. But control does not eliminate fear, it feeds it. The more we try to control, the more tense and rigid we become. We lose flexibility, creativity, and joy. Letting go is an act of courage. It says, I trust myself to handle whatever comes, even if it's not what I planned. Letting go also requires humility. It means accepting that we do not have all the answers. Many of us suffer because we cling to how things should be instead of accepting how they are. We argue with reality in our minds, and reality always wins. Acceptance does not mean approval, it means acknowledging the present moment without resistance. When we stop fighting what is, we free up energy to shape what can be. Another area where control creates suffering is relationships. We try to change people, fix them, mold them into our expectations. When they don't change, we feel disappointed or resentful. Mentally strong people understand that you can communicate, support, and inspire, but you cannot force transformation. People grow in their own time, in their own way. Letting go of control in relationships doesn't mean indifference. It means love without conditions. Letting go also involves releasing the past. We cannot control what has already happened, yet we often live as if we can rewrite it by thinking about it enough. Regret, guilt, and resentment are all attempts to control the past. A strong mind learns from the past, but does not live there. It takes the lesson and releases the pain. Carrying the past into the present only robs the present of peace. There is freedom in surrender, but not the kind that makes you passive. This surrender is active. You show up fully, you give your best, and then you release the need to control the result. Athletes understand this. They train hard, but on the day of the competition, they perform best when they let go of pressure and trust their preparation. Life works the same way. Letting go creates inner calm because it aligns us with reality. When we stop forcing life to follow our script, we become more adaptable. We respond instead of react. We flow instead of resist. Mentally strong people are not calm because life is easy. They are calm because they have stopped fighting what they cannot change. Ultimately, peace is found at the intersection of effort and acceptance. You do what is in your control with sincerity and discipline, and you let go of the rest with grace. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, the mind becomes lighter, the heart becomes softer, and life becomes more manageable. This is not resignation, it is wisdom. And in that wisdom lies true mental strength. Mental strength is not built in dramatic moments, it is built quietly through the habits you practice every single day. What you repeatedly do shapes how you think, how you feel, and how you respond to life. Many people look for motivation when what they really need is discipline. Motivation comes and goes, but habits stay. A strong mind is not the result of one powerful decision, but of hundreds of small, consistent choices made over time. Your habits create your default state. When pressure arrives, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall back on your habits. If your habits are unhealthy, your mind collapses under stress. If your habits are supportive, your mind becomes resilient. This is why mentally strong people focus less on outcomes and more on routines. They understand that success and stability are side effects of consistency. One of the most important habits for mental strength is how you start and end your day. The first thoughts you feed your mind in the morning shape your emotional tone. If you begin the day by rushing, checking your phone, or worrying about problems, your mind stays in reactive mode. Strong minds create intentional beginnings. Moments of silence, reflection, prayer, journaling, or gratitude. These practices anchor the mind before the world begins to pull at it. Equally important is how you end your day. Carrying unresolved stress into sleep trains the mind to remain anxious. Mentally strong people develop habits that help them release the day. They reflect without judgment, forgive themselves, and let go of what they cannot fix tonight. Sleep becomes not just rest for the body, but recovery for the mind. Another powerful habit is managing your attention. In a world full of distractions, attention is energy. What you consume mentally shapes your inner world. Constant exposure to negativity, comparison, and noise weakens mental resilience. Strong minds are selective. They limit mindless scrolling, avoid unnecessary drama, and choose content that nourishes growth. This is not about isolation, it is about protection. Physical habits also play a critical role in mental strength. The mind and body are deeply connected. Regular movement, proper nutrition, hydration, and sleep are not luxuries, they are foundations. When the body is neglected, the mind struggles. A mentally strong person respects their body because they understand that emotional stability is harder to maintain in a physically exhausted state. Another habit that builds mental strength is embracing discomfort. Growth lives outside comfort zones, and habits are the bridge to that growth. Doing difficult things consistently, waking up early, exercising when you don't feel like it, speaking the truth kindly, staying disciplined when it's inconvenient, trains the mind to tolerate discomfort without panic. Over time, this builds confidence and inner toughness. Strong mental habits also include how you speak to yourself. Self-talk is a daily practice, whether you realize it or not. Mentally strong people don't eliminate negative thoughts, they challenge them. They replace "I can't handle this" with "this is hard, but I can manage." Reframing becomes a habit, and slowly the mind becomes more supportive instead of self-sabotaging. Consistency is more important than intensity. Many people fail because they try to change everything at once. Strong minds build slowly. They focus on one habit at a time, understanding that lasting change takes patience. They forgive themselves for setbacks, but never abandon the process. This balance of discipline and compassion keeps them moving forward. Habits also create identity. When you act in alignment with your values daily, you begin to see yourself differently. You stop saying, "I want to be mentally strong," and start saying, "I am someone who takes care of my mind." This shift in identity is powerful. You no longer rely on willpower alone, your habits carry you. In the end, mental strength is not a personality trait you are born with. It is a skill you practice. And habits are the training ground. Every small choice is a vote for the kind of mind you are building. When your habits are intentional, supportive, and consistent, mental strength stops being something you chase and becomes something you live.